Beacon, how are you doing, sir?
I'm not too bad. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm pretty good, and we are here
Good.
today to talk about Battleborn.
Yes, the birth of battles.
Yes, so it's a Gearbox game.
It is,
Um,
yep.
it's heavily multiplayer oriented,
It very much is, yep.
and you've played quite a lot of it. So let's get your
Yeah,
opinions.
I've been giving it a good go. Yeah. Well, like you say, it's Gearbox. It's multiplayer. If you could kind of put it down into a nutshell, at its core, it is a first-person MOBA
Hmm.
kind of experience. So you're sort of looking at a sort of a League of Legends, awesome noughts kind of affair, yeah.
Yeah,
Which is kind of the sort of the core multiplayer component. Two bases, minions, various things that you can sort of drop into the battlefield as you play,
hmm,
characters to choose from. So it's a character driven shooter. I think there's 25 characters to
right.
choose from
Bloody
in
hell.
the launch game. Yeah, so it's quite, yeah, on the surface it looks sort of fairly feature packed. It's got a single player story mode as well, which sorry, let me reiterate that it's got a co-op story mode, and I'll go into a bit more about that in a second.
Okay,
So yeah, it's got a fair bit of stuff in it out of the box. It's got a few issues though.
okay.
So I enjoyed the PvP elements of it quite a lot. There's three different game modes. There's incursion, capture, and meltdown, and they are various. They're quite varied in the way that they play. Incursion's your traditional MOBA type of two bases, two objectives to destroy in each base, two teams just going hell for leather at each other. Capture is where you have three capture points on the map. You
Hmm.
have to, the longer you hold them captive, the more points you generate. The first person to 100 points, first team to 100 points wins, or after 15 minutes, the team with the most points wins.
Hmm.
Um, and then you've got Meltdown, which is a kind of a MOBA sort of game mode where you have different points on the map where you have to guide groups of minions to and allow them to enter the points. For each minion you get through a point, you score a point off. And again, it's first team to X number of points, or the winning team after half an hour that wins the round.
Okay.
So I mean, three game modes out of the box.
Hmm.
There's only six maps straight out of the box,
Right.
which to me feels a bit light. I mean, I'm coming at this from the angle that I used to play a lot of games like Unreal Tournament on PC,
Yeah.
which of course came quite stuffed with game modes and maps at launch.
Hmm.
So I'm kind of looking at it as that, I've played through all six multiplayer maps. And I feel like, and that kind of took me a couple of nights to kind of play several matches on each of those.
Hmm.
And I kind of sort of felt after that, I've seen everything that I need to see in these multiplayer maps. I kind of know them quite well. And I'm sort of, it could do with a little bit more to keep me entertained with it. Fortunately, there is quite a lot to see and do as far as the characters are concerned. We said earlier there's 25 characters.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think from what I've seen, a lot of them are locked off from the start. Is
they
that?
are, yeah, they are gated behind. So as you play,
Hmm.
you get experience for taking part in matches. You get more experience for winning matches,
Yep.
and you level up as a player after each match.
Hmm.
Certain characters are unlocked at certain levels for the
Hmm.
player. I think at the minute, I believe the level cap is 40, at which point you unlock the final character that's going to be available for the moment.
Okay.
Again, we'll get on to the post-release plans in a moment. But there's also other challenges that you can do. For example, completing specific co-op missions, completing specific challenges, killing certain numbers of enemies, taking part, winning certain numbers of matches with specific character types that also unlock other characters. So there's two ways to unlock each character.
Yep.
It's a slightly like how the unlocks used to work in Smash Brothers in the GameCube days
Okay.
for Smash Brothers Melee, where There were challenges to unlock different characters, or characters unlock naturally after you played a certain number of matches.
Okay.
So it's a similar sort of thing. There's quick ways. There's, okay, I'm happy to sit and wait until this character unlocks at a specific point. And the characters themselves are quite interesting. I mean, visually it's quite a colourful game.
Yeah, it's got that kind of like cell shaded, almost Borderlandsy kind of look.
It is almost Borderlandsy. Yeah, I'd say it's less cell shaded than the Borderlands games. I'd say it's probably closer to the kind of visuals that you got in the PS2 era.
Okay.
That sort of Ratchet and Clank, Jack and Daxter, sort of really big chunky geometry.
Okay.
Oversized characters. It's quite nice and bright, and it's quite refreshing to see that when a lot of shooters these days are very grey and brown and grim and military. It's nice to see something with a bit of colour.
I mean, I sort of joined you for a bit on it last night.
You did, yeah.
And I had to say that the thing that immediately struck me was that it did seem. I mean, it seemed kind of repetitive.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the immediate thing, and I just thought to myself, I don't know whether I'd be able to get on with this for a long period of time, and I don't know whether that was because. I mean, it almost sounds hypocritical from somebody that kind of does enjoy first-person shooters, but like some of the one that we were playing as the attack was basically very much the same animations over and over and over again, and it seemed a bit too. I don't know.
There's. I mean, certainly repetitiveness comes into it from a negative standpoint. I think the characters keep themselves interesting as you're playing because it has a active leveling system. So every character starts every match at level 1. And as you're playing,
I did quite enjoy that when I saw it. I thought that's quite a nice touch.
Yeah. So as you're playing, you gradually level the character up, and at certain levels, you get to unlock different perks and different abilities. And there's a nice, quick way of choosing between 2 different abilities for each level that kind of keeps things moving. And for the pace of the game, that's really good. But as you say, everything seems to take a very long time. Certainly the 2 game modes, capture I think has a cap of 15 minutes per map, but the other 2 game modes you're looking at playing, if you're playing for points, you're going to be there for at least half an hour, which is a long time to be sitting in a multiplayer game, where you are essentially doing the same things over and over again. And certainly those ones I kind of felt after 15 minutes it was starting to drag, and especially when you get to a point where you realize you're not going to be able to claw victory back from the jaws of defeat, you're sort of thinking, well, I could be a sore loser and bail on this, but that's ridiculous. There is a voting system per team where you can vote to forfeit the match, which is quite nice. But certainly when I was playing online, there would be a couple of people on the team that after they realised things weren't going their way, they would turn it into forfeit mode, and the rest of the team would just be like, nah, screw you, we're just going to carry on going. So, you're kind of at the behest of your online teammates there.
Okay.
The co-op mode is certainly where I think it feels the most repetitive and it starts to drag the most. So co-op basically is the same mechanics as the multiplayer mode, but you play on a team of up to 4 characters.
Right.
The story of the game basically is there's 1 star left in the universe, so everything else is destroyed. And there are there's a faction of different alien races and all sorts of weird and colourful characters that are sort of fighting over dominance of this final star, this sort of slightly futile war. And there are a couple of races that are sort of dominating other things. And there's kind of a little bit of backstory. And then you get sort of thrown into these missions. And you can select the order in which you play the missions for the most part, which is quite nice. But it's kind of disappointing initially because when you first start the game, you have this really nice sort of animated cutscene, which is done very much in the style of sort of Jamie Hewlett, who did the Tank Girl comics.
Yeah, you almost expect the gorillas to show up at some point.
Absolutely. Well, to be honest with you, the song that plays over the intro sequence, I need to kind of check this out. It sounds the guy that raps over it sounds like the rapper from Gorillaz.
Okay.
So it was kind of like that. Oh yeah, it kind of, it's got that sort of mood, and it starts off, you think, oh, this might be pretty good, but the story, once you get into the co-op missions, is kind of told through talking heads and radio,
Okay.
and you don't get that nice sort of cutscene stuff really again, and you don't get, because you choose your characters before the mission, whereas the prologue mission is played with two characters who riff off each other as you're playing. You don't get that kind of interplay between the characters as you're playing the co-op missions.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like there's a lot of it seemed like there's a lot of almost forced humor. I think some of the stuff that we were playing, it seemed like for every, I don't know, for every 6 or 7 jokes that stuck, there was about 20 or so that didn't, and it just seemed a bit, it almost seemed a bit forced, and it was kind of that element that I wasn't too sure about.
There's a lot of stuff that's funny, but there's a lot of stuff that's like, especially when you hear the same lines over and over again from your character, which you can disable in the options. There is an option to disable character chatter.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to the thing of, if everything is something, then nothing is something. If everything's a joke, then all of a sudden nothing's a joke. And I think it certainly seems like it will be interesting to see how it progresses. But I mean, from a starting out point of view for like this first person MOBA, it sounds like it's good. It also sounds interesting that they're not doing a pay to unlock characters and things like that, which is a good thing, and I'm quite surprised that that's a solid thing that they've introduced, and they're not going to do.
Well, I had to look through the menus to see if there was a microtransaction, any microtransactions in the game, because it felt like the kind of game that there should have been microtransactions. Other than unlocking the characters, you also have gear packs that you buy with in-game currency, which allows you to take sort of unique gear and perks into the match with you to help you. And I was pretty sure that there should have been an option somewhere for me to buy in-game currency with microtransactions. And it's quite a sad indictment of modern gaming that I was pleasantly surprised that there wasn't. Which is, good for Battleborn and good for Gearbox for doing that. But it's such a shame that we've got to the stage where we're giving a game bonus points for not nickel and diming its customers. There is a season pass, because your game's not a game if it doesn't have a season pass.
Absolutely. I think you said it's all single player stuff, isn't it?
It's all co-op stuff. Yeah, it's all co-op stuff. Co-op missions and immediate unlocks for the bonus characters. There's going to be bonus characters and bonus and extra game types and maps released post launch, which are going to be free for the PvP side of things. So everyone playing multiplayer is going to be on an absolutely even keel, which I think again is hugely commendable for Gearbox.
To be honest, this kind of game it needs to have that level playing field, otherwise it will die on its arse. I think. To kind of wrap it up, I think we've it sounds like it's an interesting premise.
It is, yeah.
It sounds like it's kind of. It's taken some of the elements from Borderlands and maybe worked it in a way that some people might find good and other people might find slightly irritating. Would that be fair to say?
I think so, yeah. I mean, my bottom line on it is I liked it. I really enjoyed the multiplayer stuff. I thought the single player stuff, the co-op stuff, was reasonably repetitive and didn't really scale very well for a single player, but I found it very hard, particularly when I was playing it, to find somebody who was wanting to play it on a co-op basis. But I felt that the co-op story maps didn't really scale to a single player because it was and I think you found that as well. It's very easy to get overwhelmed with enemies when you're trying to meet objectives. It's like everything's thrown at you. And it almost expects there to be at least 2 people there to fend off the barrage. Whether there's enough content to warrant someone going out of their way just to play it for multiplayer now, I think is slightly debatable. but it's one of those things that I think further down the line there could be a fairly sizable chunk of decent stuff in there.
Okay.
It's certainly laying the foundations for that. But with things like Overwatch coming out, Titanfall, Battlefield 1, new Call of Duty, is there going to be the audience months down the line?
Well, that's the thing. I think at the moment they've got almost somewhat of a captive audience. Obviously, what you say we've got Overwatch coming out later this month, but it seems like it could find an audience, and maybe it will, maybe it won't. We shall see. But as of the moment, that's Battleborn. Your review is up on the site as I speak, and the score that you're giving it, what have we gone with?
I'm going with 7 out of 10 on it.
So a solid 7 out of 10. It's a good score.
Solid 7. Yeah, it's a good score. It's a good game. It sounds like
it's a good game. There's room for potential, and hopefully it can live up to it. So that's cool. Thank you very much for joining me, and thank you for watching, guys. We will see you again soon. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and follow us on Twitter at official_NGB, and we're Next Gen Gaming Blog pretty much everywhere else. So keep your eyes on the channel. We've got some cool stuff coming up.
Don't forget to watch the NGB show every month.
And indeed, the NGB show. Yes.
Yeah.
Get that plug in. Awesome. All right, guys. See you soon. Bye.